Bear's mama asked a really long question, so I'm just going to summarise. She is a long-time fan of Chanel, and she's getting increasingly put off by rising prices and doesn't feel special enough anymore. Buying experiences, quality, essays, not wanting to show more than one bag. I had that. As if you should be grateful they're showing you one at all. And that she's branched out into other brands, namely Loewe and Dior, and has been very pleasantly surprised by the quality of the products and the service. Do I feel Chanel is still worth it? Does it annoy me that the prices rise more than like anywhere else? That they're chasing status. Do I think they're chasing status like Hermes by holding back the quantities so it's harder to get things? Have I considered alternatives like Dior? Do I think about resale and investment when I'm buying something? I agree with everything you're kind of saying. I think it's getting to the point, I've said this before, I recently went to London for my birthday weekend, or a week before my birthday, and I ended up getting this because it was a long time wish list thing. And as I bought that bag, I just had this real feeling in my heart that that would be it. I'm unlikely to buy anything else from Chanel. If something in the future really grabs me and it's unique, or I think about it for a long time, so I like, okay, but I just can't see that happening. I have really surprised myself. I would say 5 years ago, I would have agreed with my husband's perspective that it was not an addiction, but it was like, right, I get something that I've wanted on my wish list, and now I'm straight on to thinking about the next and, adding and adding. And I always said to everybody, no, when I get a good mixture of things for different situations, different sizes, different colours, whatever, I will get to a point where I'm done. And I definitely feel like that with Chanel. There are a few things that I've looked at, but I just think they're just not worth the money for me. And I see some big YouTubers just consuming at such a rate, and it really, I'm going to be honest, I find it so distasteful. I don't really know why, but it's like, just stop, slow down. Why? What is happening there? I don't buy these things for investment. I buy them because they feel like a treat. They feel special. They lift me up when I carry them. And I'm that's enough. And I agree that the prices now have got not enough to do with the craftsmanship and the materials, and just because the brand is pushing themselves up there and they can charge these prices, because there are enough people who are just on this treadmill of avid consumerism who will buy them, and that's not really me anymore. When I get something, I've slowed down, and it's reconnected me with feeling like really grateful and appreciative when I get something. And I agree with you. Try other brands. You say Loewe and Dior, and I've heard great things, especially about Dior service. And I think what they make is beautiful quality, and if you have a problem down the line, they seem to really help people out. That's something I would consider. But even more down the scale than that, I think there are really lovely products. I said this in the video I'd made about fakes. There are lots of whatever you want to call it, mid-priced brands that are kind of specialists still in making good leather goods, but you're talking around 500 and under. I don't think anymore the design house that something comes from doesn't have the same grip on me as it used to, and then that means it's easier to walk away. Does that make sense? And then finally she asks, how is my medium college holding up? I am so tempted. And she says some other lovely things. So here is my medium college. I'm a massive advocate for this. I think this is just such a gorgeous bag. I'm so happy. This, I didn't buy it on a whim. I researched it a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and put it to the side because I thought it was maybe too small for me and other things. And then I just kept thinking about it. A couple of friends of mine, Stella and Jem, have it, and in this exact same version, and they love it, and kept seeing theirs and thinking, And for me, when I got this, I hadn't had a bag for nearly a year, and I just said to my husband one day, I showed him the website. I said, I'm looking at this online. What do you think? Can I get it? Because we always, there's a mark on there. I always ask, because it's, a big expenditure. And he was like, oh, that's nice. and I just ordered it because I thought it's online. If it doesn't work out for me, strap length, whatever, I'll send it back. But I absolutely love this bag. It's very functional, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's considering it. In terms of wear and tear, when you rotate your bags as much as I do, it takes a long time for bags to start to show wear and tear on the whole, and I can't see anything on this. I think the corners will get scuffs eventually because it's quite soft, but I'm really enjoying it. Okay, Jay Hoyland says, some favourite SLGs, what's your favourite SLGs and why? And also, what is your checklist when buying a bag? Well, favourite SLGs, just to summarise, are smaller. I don't buy full-size wallets anymore, and I try to buy things that are compact but can still hold all the things that I need. So there are 4 types of SLGs that I buy. Flat card holders, but I don't need many because they're not that versatile. A card holder is a card holder. I have 3 and I don't need any more. And then these, like a flat simple pouch, also find those quite versatile. I have a few of those, 2 or 3 I think. And then a small zip around wallet, like a zippy coin purse from Louis Vuitton or Chanel or Mulberry or whoever. So they are this kind of size, but they have a zip around and then they open out, and you can have different things like cards, coins, cash in the different sections. And then finally, just like a mini wallet. So almost similar functionality to a full wallet, but just really small. And this is probably my favorite one right now. This is the, oh my God, Rosalie coin purse from Louis Vuitton. It comes in loads of different versions. I really like the Abine with the pink. I'd seen people have that in the Neverfull, and I was just like, oh, I've already got a Neverfull MM with the red lining. So to scratch that itch, I got this because it was the same combination. I looked at the, is it the Zoe wallet? But I don't like things when you can see all the stuff in the side. And because this is gusseted, it just felt a bit neater, and it's a little bit smaller. So you have a popper, and then you have a little coin section. You have just a few card slots, like 1, 2, 3, but you have an extra slip. As you can see, I've put a load of cards there. I've got some cash down the back. Yes, you can't take everything, and I have a 1 full-size wallet. Well, it's not even full size, from Louis Vuitton. That is like my, it's a bit of an extravagant use for it. Lux Purse Lover said the exact same thing in a recent video. All the cards that I don't need to take out all the time live in that wallet, and I take what I need and pack it into what I'm using. So yeah, my favourite SLGs are the smaller compact ones. And the checklist I go through when buying a bag, I'm not going to kind of answer that now because it's quite a lengthy, and this video is already really long. I feel like I've done the preparation for a video, which is about how to choose a great all-rounder, how to choose a bag that's definitely going to work for you, and different criteria like versatility, practicality, style. So I'm going to do that. That's my next video, if you don't mind. Nettie's World for You. Hi, Nettie says, Sophia Shohat just did a video on SLGs, and what I took from it was that she feels that if you're going to buy an SLG, buy Chanel versus LV due to quality. What are your thoughts? I watched that video too, and I was surprised. I think I generally really enjoy Sophie Shohat's videos, but sometimes she has a very fixed opinion on certain things, and it's a very strongly put opinion. And I don't necessarily agree, but we all make these opinions based on what's happened with our own pieces that we've bought. So I actually feel like it's a real mixed bag. I have had really good Chanel SLGs that really take regular use really well. Remember, they don't tend to use glazing. They stitch and fold in the leather, so you haven't got that issue. I tend to buy dark colours, so they hold up well over time. But they're quite expensive now. I just bought a card case from Chanel for £385. And it's not perfect. I had to take the first one back, and the second one is okay, but there are some things on the back where there's a pocket, but it's not completely symmetrical and stuff. This, for example, is really well made and about half that price, and I really love it. I think it's all down to individual product lines within brands are stronger and weaker. Some things, they're tried and true. They've been making them for years and years. She says fishing around. Oh, this has got a purse light on it, look. So this is a mini pochette, which is an SLG. And I have 2 of these in the 2 different prints, and they take a real hammering, and I've used them for years. And this one in particular looks really new. The hardware on it and everything, it's in great shape. It's very functional and very hardy. I have had other SLGs that have real problems. Like, for example, this has a leather covered button, and these are notorious for peeling off. This one, I knew that going in because I'd had one before, an Emily wallet, and I regularly treat this with clear nail varnish to protect it. Also, it's got glazing, so maybe after a long time of like using it, I might get splitting and I might have to get this reglazed. But I think with all of these brands now, sadly, I don't recommend making these big purchases online. I do it sometimes because I don't have any option otherwise, but on the whole, I think it's good to look at each piece, do your research, so watch reviews of that product from 3, 4, 5 other YouTubers or people who write blogs, and you'll get a sense if that is something that keeps being a problem for people, or if people are like, yep, I've had this for 3 years, it's looking brand new. I don't think it's like LV versus Chanel. I think they both have some products that are really classic, really well made, tried and true, and I think they have some product lines that are just really weak. Like, I once had a small zippy, I have a zip around little coin purse wallet from Chanel in blue lambskin that is holding up so well. I bought the same one in hot pink caviar with buoy lock on it, and within 3 days the leather was chipping off in little flakes. And when I contacted Chanel, they said it's your misuse and wear and tear, and it's nothing to do with the product. So not only is it about, will the quality be an issue for you, what happens when you are still in warranty and you take that product back? If it's a brand where they're like, no problem, we'll replace it, it's kind of low risk. But if they're kind of, once they got your money, they're like, we don't want anything to do with you, you have to be wary. And that happens with all of the big design houses sometimes. I'm waffling. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Kay loves 3 LV and CC. Hi honey, it's Kelly. I know you had the classic walk before, sold it and got another one recently. Is the walk a keeper this time? I really love it and I want to add it to my collection, especially since you got yours and shared it on a video on YouTube. I feel like it's so versatile, even more than my mini. Yep, I mean, I love a wok so much. I have 2 and they're nearly identical. This was my unicorn. I searched high and low to get the perfect one, and like after having many woks and they weren't quite right and selling them, and I had this in lamb with gunmetal hardware, and that is the bag that got away. I should never have sold it. I just had a wobble about the lambskin, and I ended up getting it back again in a kind of caviar, and this very matte. And then I just still craved I'm into detail on bags. I loved the classic hardware, the gold chain, the caviar, the way the classic one has the pocket on the back. So I love a wok, and these are different enough for me. And also because a wok is something I use every week, week in and week out, I felt I could justify having 2 to reduce the wear and tear on this precious one. So I love the wok, and yes, it is a keeper. It's just that I'm at a point now where when I buy something, I really know that it's going to work for me and my style, and I'm unlikely to change my mind so much. Whereas kind of 5 years ago, I was like, do I like silver? Do I like gold? I'd really and ah. Whereas that, I just knew I wanted it with the gold hardware. So that is staying. And I think it's, yeah, I love it so much. And I highly recommend the wok to anyone. There are areas on it where you get wear. I've noticed the beginning of some rubbing on my boy one, like on here, because the chain comes out and lifts up. But again, it's about, do you overstuff it? Do you abuse it? Do you pack it nicely when you're not using it? I use a base shaper to keep the sides and everything very even. I need to get another one for the new one. I feel like they are more versatile than the mini, although the mini looks like it's got bigger capacity. There's a lot of functionality in the wok so that you don't need to have many items. If you use the wok properly, I feel like it can hold all your daily essentials, weirdly. And it's worth the money, just. I mean, Chanel's getting silly, but that's at the lower end of the price points. Psych T. At least there are stories about crime and specialised luxury thefts in London. What do you think of this topic? Do you feel unsafe and different if visiting London nowadays? Well, there's things I don't do. If I lived in London and I was going out in the evening in London on my own with friends and then making my way home using public transport or walking in the dark, I would. And the same really goes for here, but maybe not to the same extent. So, for example, I did have one occasion that really taught me a lesson. I was here in Bristol going from a late night movie on my own because my friend was in a different part of the multi-storey car park. Now we don't do it that way. We both walk to one car and then we drive in that car to the other person's car and say goodbye and go off in our cars, because I walked back to my car and a kind of bunch of young guys were asking me if I had some change or if I had a cigarette or if I had a lighter, and I knew where this was heading and I was really afraid. I felt my gut was telling me this was an awful situation. I was wearing my Rolex with a short sleeve top so I couldn't hide it, and I was wearing my jumbo crossbody, and I could see them checking out both items, and I was just like, shit, I don't really care about these items, but I think I might not get out of this encounter unscathed. And it got really aggressive just in that they were then around me. And it was only when two really tall, big guys who were together walked past and made a point of coming over and being like, "What's up, chaps?" and being a little bit like just making their presence felt, that they moved away. And one of the guys said, "Let me walk you to your car," and they walked me to my car. And somebody made the point, well, they could have been a danger, but I'd always trust my gut, and my gut was that they were seeing that this was getting out of hand. Anyway, that's a long story, but the point of it is that, yeah, you've got to be really mindful, because people, young people, all kinds of people are really brand aware. There's a lot of crime and theft. That's the way of the world now. So I try to pick the right thing for the right situation. I tend to go to London and I'm not alone that much, and I'm mostly out and about in the day, and when I'm out and about in the evening I'm with my husband, so I feel safer, but still I wouldn't walk around. Like, I went out with my husband for dinner one time and I had a Chanel clutch, and in the end on the way home, like, I turned it in so that you couldn't see the logo, and I had it really under my arm really tightly like that. Or sometimes he'll carry my things. Yeah, you have to be mindful. You have to be aware of your surroundings. I would never walk around anywhere at night with headphones on. And if people engage with you and you feel that it's leading towards something bad, just nip it in the bud. Don't engage with them. Don't pacify them. Just get out of that situation if you can. K-Style TG says, "Hi B, hope you're doing well. Is Martha interested in luxury? Are you going to share your bags with her now or in the future, or encourage her to wait to save to get her own?" She doesn't really have any interest in handbags. She's kind of still a tomboy into sportswear. She's got a Supreme bum bag or belt bag. That's kind of her level, and I think that's appropriate because it gives them a buzz of a brand they like, but it was like under £100. It's canvas, it's hardy. If she asked me now to use any of my luxury handbags, there are a few things that I would let her try that I feel she couldn't damage easily, like a pochette accessoire or something like that. No Chanel, because she hasn't demonstrated yet maturity and really like taking care of things, and is still 15, and sometimes it's not a particularly mature 15. She might exercise poor judgment. Like, she goes out in central Bristol, a bit like we were talking just now, with her best friend, and I'm like, "Where are you?" And she's like, "Oh, we're walking down this road to get the bus," and I've told them to wait, somewhere else. So I don't know. What I do think is that you don't want to spoil your kids, but if you have luxury items and it's part of your lifestyle, then you can't really tell them that they can't have them. And I'm not suggesting that at 15, 16, she has to have everything I've got. But I think if I'm like, "No, you're not having anything designer," that's a little bit hypocritical. So I think I would start small with something very practical that she really, really wants, and she's really wanted for a while. The thing about luxury goods at that age is that, lots of the other questions in this video, your personal style and everything changes a lot. And if I buy her something really expensive now, there's very little chance that she's going to want that same item in only a few years. So I don't think that it would really be a good idea. But she has a few small kind of expensive things like from Gucci, but we've really assessed that she would get use out of them, and they're not at a super high price point, like trainers and a belt. She's got to learn that you have to work for these things, and that you don't have everything when you're young. Sometimes you have to wait and go further through like life's journey before you get some of these things. Style for Dessert asks, if you had to pick between your Chanel reissue and your Saint Laurent college bag, which would you pick and why? Which is a better mum everyday bag? Here are the two bags in question. What was the other one? Oh. Similar size. Well, the reissue obviously looks a bit bigger. Both in a kind of smoothish leather. They're very different. I think I would pick this one because it's got a top handle, so you can reach into a car or from a chair and grab it. I like having a top handle. It's a more friendly price point, so if you're spending time with your kids, it just doesn't feel as precious, but it's really fun and stylish. It's got organisation inside. This bag I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with. I definitely love it. Like when I first got it, I really doubted my decision to get it, but there are certain things about it that are just so different from my other Chanel classics that I kind of baby it a bit more, because it is so squishy and doesn't have much structure and feels quite vintagey and light. So I love it, but for a mum kind of throw around bag, you can wear both of them crossbody. This the flap is more tricky, so if you're in a hurry, this just feels a little bit easier to use. And it's just really fun and can look really casual. This is just a treasure, and I love it, and I do use it when I'm with my kids, but probably more when I'm on my own. Are we nearly there? See, it's 8 o'clock on Saturday, and I know that the dinner's ready and my husband's cheesed off that I'm up here finishing this. LV Bags asks, would you rather own 4 different LV canvas bags or 1 Chanel of the same value? Ooh. I mean, I have got 4 canvas bags and more than 1 Chanel, so luckily I don't have to make that decision, but I really think it depends on your lifestyle. I haven't found anything from Louis Vuitton that feels like a special occasion bag. I love their canvas bags. This whole thing about being basic, I don't care. I am basic. My favourite things from Louis Vuitton are some of their SLGs, the Never Full design and the Speedy design. That's it. And I have a couple of others like the Pochette Métis. I feel like, on the other hand, like if you're building your collection from that point of view, if you were to get a Chanel, because they're so expensive and that is your holy grail, then I would get that, and then I would gradually add the canvas bags that you think you want. On the other hand, if you were trying to be practical and get bags that suit your lifestyle, I imagine that you would want to start with the Louis Vuitton. So it depends what your lifestyle is. You know, if you've got to take loads of paperwork to college or a job, a Neverfull's a great option. If you want something that is one bag does all, I've always said, like something, a Speedy bandolier in maybe the Abine that you can fit quite a lot in, but you can make it look smart for the evening by taking the strap off. But if you really want something that feels like a real treasure, and all through like your adolescence, like me, you dreamed about having a Chanel bag, I get that first, and then it's easier to add the canvas ones after because of the prices and stuff like that. I think that's all of my questions now, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. I rambled on some of them because people kept coming in and out, and then you just lose your train of thought. But I hope I've shared my thoughts with you and you enjoyed the answers, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great weekend.